Good day and welcome back. I want to talk about something that I have covered a little in the past, but that was many years ago, and I have a much better understanding of the how and why, what it does, how it works. I knew it was important, which is why I did a video of it back then, but I didn't really quite understand how important. Since then, I've discovered more important than what I previously thought. But it's one of the most important parts of good training. I want to talk about that. Remember that this is one of the most important parts of good training. Not completely essential, and depending on your horse, more or less important. But it's still pretty important, I think, I think you pretty much got to do it for all of them. And what it is, and this is the cool part of it, is it's something that pretty much anybody can do. It's not hard to do at all, because the something that you're going to do is nothing at all. I know that doesn't make sense. You're thinking, well, how can doing something be nothing? Or how can doing nothing be something? Or it doesn't seem to make sense now, does it? But I was inspired to do another video on this, a little more elaborate than my older one, because actually I couldn't even find the old one. Apparently I have too many videos on YouTube now. But I just watched another horseman's video that he'd done recently on the subject, and he was talking about this particular style of training that he took him a little while to click into why there was a certain group of people that they seemed to be having particularly good luck with their horses, and what was it they were doing differently. Now, he's a guy that I got a lot of respect for, and he's certainly got far, far more experience than me, and I thought it was kind of odd that he hadn't already clued into this, but, because like I said, I've been doing this for years. But in all fairness, it's something that most people would easily miss because it's nothing. Now, when we're working with our horses, we think that, we always have to be doing something. We've got to be teaching them something, training them to do something. We're always working on something. So doing nothing is just totally counterintuitive. It just doesn't seem to click. It's not something that really goes with our train of thought when it comes to training. And, this is part of the reason that it takes me so long to train horses is because I add this other element that involves doing nothing at all. And I want to talk a little bit about it and explain how it works. And what it is just hang out with them, chill. Enjoy each other's company. Put no pressure on them, no demands whatsoever, nothing. Just hang out. Tell them, good girl, give a rub, maybe a scratch or something. I just finished brushing all three of these, didn't put any demands on them, didn't ask them to do anything. We're just all standing here, just hanging out. And they're all quite relaxed. Now, the benefit of doing this is it's twofold. It's not only a great benefit for the horse, but it's also beneficial to the human as well. And I'm going to explain both sides of this, how this works. And it also has a little bit to do with, it's very similar to a video I did a while back on tack inversion, where I said if the only time that horse ever sees a saddle is when you're going to strap it onto its back and ride the thing and put it to work, pretty soon when it sees that saddle, it's like, oh, heck no, I'm out of here. Okay, same thing is true if every time you get near your horse, you're putting it to work, you're doing something, you're teaching something, you're training, and that's why I don't like lengthy or very intensive training sessions. I think they're actually counterproductive to a certain extent. Sometimes, it can go on for hours, but it's usually at a fairly leisurely pace, and we pretty much always start off with something pretty much like what we're doing today, is just hanging out, give them a little brush and some attention, that sort of thing, enjoy each other's company, and then whatever happens after that just kind of happens. I don't usually have an agenda. I might have a few ideas in the back of my mind of stuff I want to work on, but whether or not we get there, it doesn't really matter. And occasionally, depending on the horse that's in front of me that day and how they happen to be acting or whatever, we might work on something completely different. But anyhow, we start off just hanging out and chilling. Then we slowly work into the actual training. And, at that point, it might not even last very long. It might only be 15 minutes. But here's the benefit, okay? If you just chill out and relax with your horse, the horse learns eventually, hey, come back with my gloves. The horse learns eventually that hanging out with you means no pressure at all, no expectations, nothing. That you can just chill out together and, So when the horse sees you, it doesn't automatically think work. It thinks relax when it sees you, because when you hang out together, you're just chilling, hanging out. There's no pressure, no expectations. And the horse starts thinking that way. And this is one of those things where doing this kind of stuff is very helpful for relaxing your horse. And it doesn't involve neat tricks and techniques or anything like that. You just hang out and enjoy the horse, Give her a rub, give her a scratch, give her a pat. Good girl. Just enjoy her, give her a sniff, whatever. No expectations, no pressure, nothing whatsoever. That's what doing nothing is. And how it works, like I said, it relaxes the horse. And, take it out on ice. It's in the middle of winter here. There's snow outside, but, summertime, take it outside on a nice patch of grass and just let her graze. And it has huge benefits for the horse. It creates wonderful horses. I mentioned in another video not long ago about, I think my success with this one, how she's doing so good, is partly how I treat her. Well, I think it's also, part of how I treat her is not putting a lot of pressure on her. And by doing what I've been doing, which is sometimes just nothing but hanging out with her, I think that's been quite beneficial too. And so for a horse, this kind of stuff can be extremely beneficial. It builds a relationship, builds trust. It makes them calm and relaxed when they're with you, because they don't need to be worried about, oh, what do I got to do next? There's none of that stuff. It's just like, oh yeah, we're just going to chill. We're going to be hanging out. It's good, And that is the mode that they automatically go into every time they see you, and that's a really good thing. So, from the horse's perspective, it can really help relax and mellow out the horse. It's very good for the horse in that way. And it helps build a relationship with you. So there's a couple elements there. And for the human side of things, man, it's good for you. Just go sit down on the grass beside the horse while it's grazing. Just listen to it chew. It is extremely relaxing and calming. It's very beneficial for you. Believe me, it can be an extremely relaxing thing. It just makes you feel good. So sometimes the best training that you can do is absolutely nothing at all. And it's not hard to do. Anybody can do it. It's really pretty easy to do. But like I said, it's something that most people miss because it just doesn't make sense that doing nothing is actually something. The two terms don't go together very well. They seem to just mess people's heads up. So anyhow, I just thought I'd explain that a little further. Is the best training you can do sometimes is nothing at all. So you're going to be thinking, well, how often should I be doing this nothing at all thing? Well, quite often actually. I've done it quite a bit with that one. I do it with this one too, even though she doesn't need it quite as bad. The level of importance with her is not as much, but it's still beneficial. Helps. This one here, I've done it a lot with her. Because, see, when I first got her, she was a real nervous little horse, and she was pretty hard to catch and didn't like to be touched at all. And so I actually made a point of spending an awful lot of time just hanging out with this one, not putting any pressure on her at all. And, well, as you can see, it's done a lot of good for her, too, because she was extremely head shy. Touching an ear would actually make her rear up. That's how bad she was. And most of my training with this horse, honestly, it hasn't been training at all. It's been doing nothing. Just hanging out with her, rubbing on her. She didn't care much for being touched at first, so we were pretty slow about that. But we also, did do it even when she wasn't horribly comfortable with it, so that she got used to the idea that, hey, it's not so bad. Nothing bad ever happens when he's touching me. And so now she's gotten to the point where she actually likes to be rubbed. She'll actually come to me and look at me and say, hey, you want to scratch me a little, things like that. And all that's just from hanging out, hanging and chilling and doing nothing at all. So it's extremely beneficial. So there you go, folks. Another example. I do it with all of them. And they all benefit from it. So do I. Have a good day.